Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Dateline SAU, where you can catch all of the latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University. I'm Nick Blosson.
And I'm Mitch Widmeyer.
Throughout its 130-year history, St. Ambrose University has been a big part of the Quad City community, but results of a new study, shared earlier this week, are showing just how big of an economic impact the school has. As John Aclosine shows us, the numbers are in the millions.
$188 million in business spending, $73 million in personal income, and 1,913 jobs. According to a new study, those are the numbers for SAU's economic impact in just 1 year. Results local leaders and administrators say are a pleasant surprise.
I was delighted to hear about my alma mater has had such a huge economic impact on the Quad Cities.
In our hearts, we all understand there's a huge value to St. Ambrose University, but this actually put it in hard, cold facts.
University administrators say they hired the Strategic Economics Group of Des Moines, Iowa to complete the study. They say it's something that's been talked about for a while, but after 10 years and $89 million in construction projects, they decided now would be a good time to do it.
I thought it was important for us to understand what impact we have on the Quad City region from an economic perspective. And then in our involvement with Quad Cities First and other civic organizations, we understand that it's helpful for them to understand the businesses in this community and the impact that we have on the business community as well as individuals in general.
Some of the specific impact highlighted in the study: $46.5 million in student spending alone, 82,000 visitors, and more than $3 million in tax revenue. All stats local leaders say will be extremely valuable in recruiting future businesses.
To have a workforce and have an institution of higher learning that can educate people for the future is vital to economic development. You bet St. Ambrose is a big economic engine, and we're very proud of it.
Administrators say right now they are just sharing the information with the community, but they hope to potentially use it to recruit students and/or faculty in the future.
With finals week looming and homework piling up, the end of the semester can be a downer. But this past week, Ambrosians gathered to remind all of us why it is important to keep a positive attitude. On Wednesday, April 24th, students and faculty alike gathered to celebrate SAU's second annual Be Positive Day. Put on by the St. Ambrose University Staff Assembly, the event encouraged bees to be positive not only for one day, but all year round.
It is a celebration of what happens the other 364 days of the year at St. Ambrose, specifically during the school year. The point being that this is a very positive place to be, and we're celebrating the great things that happen here throughout the school year and really throughout the year.
The event featured live music from SAU alumni band Busted Chandeliers, as well as students Dan Vaughn and Molly Conrad. Playing covers as well as original songs, the event gave the musicians a chance to share their own love for being positive.
It's good to be positive just because if you're negative, I mean, you never get anything accomplished in life. So if you let all the bad things take a hold of you, you're just going to be like, you can't function.
In between musical acts, some of SAU's most positive bees were honored for their year-long contributions to the university.
This is put together by by a committee from Staff Assembly who really appreciate what students do here and what the faculty do here and what Ambrosians do throughout the community to really make this a great place to live and a great place to be.
And it's contagious.
A group of St. Ambrose University staff members promoted Be Positive Day in a special way during their lunch hour on Wednesday. Right at noon, they broke into an impromptu dance in the center of the Cosgrove cafeteria. Jason Richter, the Director of Student Engagement, dressed up in costume and offered prizes to students who joined in on the dance, to the tune of Peanut Butter Jelly Time.
The broadcast radio station at St. Ambrose University, KALA, is not just a part of the school. It also plays a role in the Quad City community. Dateline SAU's Max Zucker takes a closer look at the station's community involvement.
On April 21st, five-time Grammy Award winner Victor Wooten appeared at the Redstone Room in downtown Davenport. KALA was there promoting the event and the station.
Many communities that are underserved, the African American community, the Hispanic community,
and other communities too. We're very glad to be involved in many of the cultural and ethnic events that are happening in our region.
Since KALA helped promote the event, there were many KALA fans and listeners in attendance. These fans showed complete satisfaction in KALA's community involvement.
It makes me happy for them. It shows that they care about what's going on in the community of the jazz and blues community. It shows that they want to be a part of it and that they support it.
One of the things about KALA is the fact that it does reach out to the community, and they have things that, that's a college station, so they could very easily just only have things that related to the college, or to have it there as a primer for college students. But the fact that they've opened it up to the community, they've had several DJs that are really community people, and that's kind of cool.
KALA can be found on 88.5 and 106.1 on the FM radio dial. Max Zucker, Dateline SAU.
The Kadich Gallery in the Galvin Fine Arts Center is showcasing a collection of works entitled Young States. Each year in May, the center honors St. Ambrose University students that will be graduating in the field of fine arts and graphic design. This year, SAU artists Veronica Swanson and Lee White are featured in the exhibit in the Kadich Gallery. From Princeton, Illinois, Swanson majored in painting and English. White is from Muscatine and majored in painting and graphic design. Their artwork will be on display in the Kadich Gallery through May 10th.
Each year on April 23rd, English professor Nancy Hayes holds a birthday celebration for one of her favorite playwrights and poets, William Shakespeare.
I love Shakespeare. I teach Shakespeare, I write about Shakespeare, my dissertation was about Shakespeare, and I just want my students to love Shakespeare too.
Students and faculty came out to join Hayes in her celebration. Those that attended read a favorite passage from one of Shakespeare's works, ate some cake, and chatted about Shakespeare's plays and sonnets. Hayes has been holding this event for the past 10 years and is looking forward to continuing this celebration for many years to come.
After 14 music-filled years, St. Ambrose University's Keith Hahn is preparing to retire at the end of this spring semester. SAU Dateline's Paige Allen has more on his time at SAU as the director of choirs.
It's almost the end of the year, and everyone wants to know what Dr. Hahn will be doing during the next chapter of his life.
A lot of people have asked me about that, and I have a number of adults and high school students for voice lessons, and I'll keep teaching those because they're a lot of fun to do. And
Dr. Hahn may not be giving lessons to Ambrose students anymore, but he has made impressions on many of them, including Keaton Connell.
I started off as an international business major and actually now a music major studying choral conducting. So he's certainly been more than a mentor to me. He's taught all my applied lessons as well as my voice lessons, so I can honestly say I probably wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for Dr. Hahn.
Overall, Dr. Hahn has had a gratifying experience watching the progress of the school's choir and musical productions.
I think it's been a really good fit. I've really enjoyed teaching here. The students have been very supportive, the faculty's been very supportive, great people to work with.
Students have also valued their time with Dr. Hahn and will certainly feel his absence.
I think Keith Hahn is the ideal educator. I don't know another teacher that cares as much for his students and for his fellow faculty members and staff members as much as he does. So there's going to be a big hole to fill here.
Paige Allen, Dateline SAU.
St. Ambrose University has announced the commencement speaker for this spring's graduation ceremonies. She is Sister Barbara Moore, a woman recognized for her work in the civil rights movement and in healthcare. In 1965, Moore was one of 2 black nuns to go to Selma, Alabama and help secure equal voting rights. She later served as the chair of the nursing department at Avila College in Kansas City, and then became the director of the Kansas City Health Start program, a program to reduce infant mortality. Sister Moore will receive an honorary degree and deliver the address in the May 11th commencement ceremonies in the iWireless Center.
The oak trees in front of Ambrose Hall now have a new name. The cluster of trees was renamed Moeller Grove Tuesday in honor of former university administrator Don Moeller.
When I first heard of the proposed recognition, I was surprised and really quite astonished. But I am appreciative, especially that the faculty recommended this recognition. And I have always loved the Oaks.
Moeller was honored at a special ceremony inside Christ the King Chapel. It was originally supposed to be held outside under the mighty oaks, but rain forced the festivities indoors. Moeller was recognized for his more than 35 years of service at St. Ambrose, including his role as the Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs. The Oak Grove was named after him because of the many graduations he led there.
John Arthur Baer. Tony Thomas Bednarik.
I remember vividly and fondly reading the name of every student as they crossed the stage under the oak. So what a fitting and lasting tribute to a man who had a positive influence on our students.
Michael Durbin is one of the newest hall directors for St. Ambrose Residence Life, but it isn't his job that many find interesting. Dateline SAU's Jordan Light explains.
Work at his desk is how many St. Ambrose students know Franklin Hall Director Michael Durbin, but to his friends he is best known for playing the board game Warhammer 40,000.
Being a hall director in a new place, and you live in the halls, and so you're always near work effectively, you know, even if it's not work hours. And this is just kind of something to unwind, peaceful time usually, and at least wall painting is generally pretty peaceful, relaxing, and gives me an opportunity to get off campus to play with and meet new people in the area as well.
Though Warhammer 40K is considered a board game, it is not your average Monopoly.
Warhammer 40K is a science fiction based tabletop miniature game. So you paint up miniatures, you play with them. Lots of dice rolling. Each miniature has its own set of stats. Some of them go in groups, some don't. And then there's also very large literature base behind it from the rules themselves.
Still a relatively unknown hobby, Durbin has found a new peer group playing the game.
Around the Quad Cities, there's a few different groups. The one I play with either uses a game shop or goes to one of the players' houses, and there's probably 15 people total, with around 8 who actually play consistently.
Next year, Durbin hopes to start a new club for the game here on the St. Ambrose University campus. Jordan Light, Dateline SAU.
Coming up in sports, the SAU softball team is red hot as they enter the last few games of the regular season.
And the St. Ambrose men's volleyball team looks to return to the national tournament championship game.
Sean Nolan has all the scores coming up after this short break.
Stay tuned.
I absolutely fell in love with the atmosphere and with the people, and there was just this attitude of really wanting to help the students learn, and then the opportunities for all of the hands-on things that are available here. All of those things were presented to me as things that I could get involved in right away. It wasn't something that I was going to have to wait to be involved in. I've had the opportunity since graduating from St. Ambrose to work in some different areas, and all of those things are experiences that I had as a student at Ambrose, and then I can take those out into the real world and tell people that I have all of these experiences and that I can do essentially anything that they have for me to do. And they were all just great experiences for me, things that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
The St. Ambrose men's volleyball season came to an end last week in a 3-1 loss to Missouri Baptist, in SAU's final game of pool play at the NAIA National Tournament in Denver. George Langheld led the Bees with 11 kills. 3-time All-American Kyle Schwetz had 9. It was the first time the Bees had failed to make it to the national championship game in 3 years. The Bees ended their fine season with a record of 20-11, ranked 7th in the country. The Fighting Bee baseball team took on conference foe Viterbo for a 4-game series at home on the 20th and 21st. The Bees lost the first game 9-0. St. Ambrose was out-hit 13-2 and also committed several key errors. They bounced back in the second game as Robert Copley pitched a complete game for SAU, allowing just 1 run on 3 hits. The Bees couldn't get their bats going in Game 3, wasting a complete game effort by pitcher Zach Rolfe. St. Ambrose took the final contest, and for the 3rd straight game, the Bees got a complete game from their starter. This time, it was Brandon Duplessis who gave up only 2 earned runs. The team then traveled to Macomb, Illinois on Wednesday to take on Western Illinois. The Bees lost 8-1, dropping them to 11-24 on the season. The St. Ambrose softball team traveled to Morrison, Illinois for the Ashford Spring Jamboree. The opening day was a rough one for the Queen Bees as they dropped a 5-inning contest to Olivet Nazarene and followed that with a 12-10 setback against Judson. They bounced back the next day by stomping on Roosevelt 18-9 in 5 innings. Then they beat Cardinal Stritch by a 12-7 score, finishing up 2-2 in the Jamboree. On the next day, the team hosted Mount Mercy for a doubleheader. The Queen Bees dominated the first game, hitting 3 home runs in the process, but Mount Mercy would answer back by taking the second game 16-5 in 5 innings. The ladies then traveled to Dubuque on the 22nd to face Clark in another key conference doubleheader. The Queen Bees would take both games, hitting 7 home runs on the day. The 2 wins moved SAU to 5-5 in the MCC. Next up was a trip back home for a doubleheader against Ashford, and the results were the same, another sweep. The Queen Bees are currently 28-13 on the year. The St. Ambrose men's tennis team traveled to Bloomington, Illinois for a match against Illinois Wesleyan and were dealt an 8-1 loss. One bright spot for the Bees was Rob Landman, who won his match at number 5 singles for the Fighting Bees. The Bees finished the regular season with a 4-12 record. The next day, the women's tennis team traveled to Grinnell College and lost by a final score of 9-0. The men's and women's teams' next matches are at regionals in Grand Rapids, Michigan. St. Ambrose will host their Big Spring Sports Banquet on Sunday, May 5th in the Rogalski Center Banquet Room. Participants in basketball, bowling, golf, track, tennis, baseball, softball, dance, cheerleading, and men's volleyball will be honored at this event. And that will do it for This Week in Sports. I'm Sean Nolan.
Thanks, Sean, and that will do it for this week's edition of Dateline SAU.
Be sure to join us every Friday and Monday evening at 6:30 for the latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University.
This past week was designated Earth Week, so we wondered if SAU students participate in any green activities. We leave you with their responses.
Thanks for watching.
Good night.
I try to use a reusable water bottle. I bring it around, the one with like the straw. It's really cool. So it reduces the amount of plastic water bottles that I use, and it's always cold.
I always make sure that all my lights are turned off when I leave the house.
I recycle.
I always make it a priority to make sure I throw away any waste I have, and if I have anything like food peels or wrappers, I always make sure those get recycled.
I drive an eco-friendly car. As a part of the basketball team, we do a lot of activities where we're out in the community. We're we've helped pick up trash.
I always make sure to reuse my water bottles, and I try to stay away from plastic water bottles and use those fancy cups and just reuse those and try not to use too many new cups every day and try to stick with the same one so I don't have to wash with them a bunch.
I take care of the campus garden, which is over at the St. Vincent property.
Just around my dorm room, I make sure I recycle all of my cans. Sometimes I'll get a little care package in the mail, and I'll make sure that I break down that cardboard box and recycle it. And myself, I'm from a farm in central Iowa, and that we have chickens. And one of the green things about chickens is that they'll eat any food. So instead of like putting some food down the garbage disposal, repurpose it, feed it to your chickens, because they're not that picky.